system.
Hey, you wanna hear a good joke? Nobody speak, nobody get choked.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Out of here, baby! Nobody speak. Nobody speak. Nobody speak. Nobody get choked.
I knew you'd come.
I didn't know it was possible, but I really want to know what the cure for the wrestling hangover is, because I'm guaranteeing it's not more wrestling. Welcome to the Sunday Night Slam here on TBK Magazine and TBKRadio.com. My name is Richard. Ashley is all sulking because she lost. That's right. In our prediction show, she took the wrong horses in the Ring of Honor New Japan show, and walking away with the WWE title fanny pack is this guy. And Ashley has a Vince Russo photo sitting on her desk at work. Good times, good times. She is not here this week. She is actually under the weather. She got what I had. So I'm just going to say we got it at Planet Comic-Con Kansas City. So that really sucks. She should be better by the time next week gets here. We're doing our WrestleMania 2 show next week. I promise you that is finally happening. Phil is off doing Phil things. Guys, this is a big week. So much happened since the last episode, because we got the last episode up before NXT TakeOver New York and did an entire preview of the weekend. And my God, what a weekend it was. Wrestling was on top of the frickin' world. And we have to start with that John Oliver piece, because we didn't talk about that. That John Oliver piece was straight fire. And I think it is something to discuss, because I think Jesse Ventura tried to get a union going in wrestling and it got squashed pretty quickly. So I'm hoping maybe this will open the doors to some new things happening. Healthcare being the main issue, I believe. Calling people who work for you independent contractors in this day and age is kind of weird to me. But that's a whole nother argument, another show. We will discuss that at some point. Last week, though, I think was the most emotionally happy wrestling weekend I have ever had as a fan, at least since the Attitude Era. I will say pre-Attitude Era. I will say mid-90s WCW era before Hogan. This was the happiest I had been. Let's just kick it off. NXT TakeOver New York starts off with the War Raiders against Aleister Black and Ricochet before they go on to WrestleMania to wrestle for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Aleister Black and Ricochet wins the Dusty Rhodes Classic. It's into this huge high-profile match, and I don't think you could have picked a better match to start NXT TakeOver. This match was superb as shit. I love Aleister Black, and I do believe that dude is a WWE champion in the future, because I have a feeling this Monday and Tuesday when they do the Superstar Shakeup, we're going to see Aleister on one show and Ricochet on the other. I think it's time to just kind of split them. And I think they got put together, one, because of Ciampa's injury, and two, because I think they were trying to just introduce Ricochet and Aleister Black to the audience. Putting them together was not the worst idea, but now it's time to see what they can do on their own, and those two guys are going to own it. So that's going to be a thing. But that tag match, my God. My God, what a show. When the War Raiders defeated Aleister Black and Ricochet, which did not surprise me, because I figured this was Aleister Black and Ricochet's final match in NXT. It just felt like a culmination of emotions. And this is kind of what started the whole weekend, because I feel the entire weekend for WWE was built around emotion. Because this match started, I think, set the gear and set the bar very high for how emotionally draining the entire weekend would be. Because once the War Raiders got the pin on Black and Ricochet, and the moment after, and War Raiders do the bow, and there's this awesome moment of respect, it just seemed like something special was happening. And then Ricochet's emotions get the best of him, and you could tell this was their last match in NXT, and your heart starts to sink, because the last year and a half for Ricochet and the last 2 years for Aleister Black, they have come up through the ranks of NXT. It was a great send-off, a great match, but who? Now, my question now comes, who is going to be able to be the next tag team to step up to War Raiders? I mean, I guess it's going to be the Forgotten Sons, Mustache Mountain, if they don't get called up. There's not a lot, Undisputed, if they don't get called up. There's a lot of great wrestling coming, and I think the Forgotten Sons are probably going to be the next team that kind of gets shifted upward, and that'll be fine. But I think this might be the last great NXT tag match for a little bit, and I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but dear God, do I love the War Raiders. What a cool moment. Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle for the NXT North American Championship. I thought it was Matt Riddle's time to get some singles gold. Needless to say, I was wrong. They did not pull the championship off Velveteen Dream. 17 minutes, 35 seconds. Velveteen Dream wins in a surprise defeat. I did not expect Matt Riddle to lose this quickly, but it's a great match. It was to an up-and-comer. It's to a guy that I'm going to say is also the future of WWE. Aleister Black and Ricochet are going to have single title runs. Velveteen Dream, you could almost build an entire fucking company around. That dude is on straight fire. And there's not a guy in the entire company that may have the charisma that the Velveteen Dream has right now. And that dude's only 23 years old. That's insane. This guy is going to be around for a long time. Granted, some crazy barring injury, but he is going to be the future of the company, and I think a lot of people are starting to see that, so they may take their time in pulling him up for that very reason. Again, surprised that Matt Riddle did not go over, but the best Matt Riddle story of the entire weekend does not come from this. It's the fact he stole an entire gallon of milk from catering. That was fan-freaking-tastic at WrestleMania. He posted pictures of him sitting in a golf cart, of drinking this gallon of milk, searching for Brock Lesnar. Freaking fantastic. Walter defeats Pete Dunne and wins the WWE United Kingdom Championship. Holy balls. I don't know. This is my second time of ever actually seeing a Walter match. Full bell to bell. The first match was last year at WrestleMania weekend. I ordered Joey Janela's Spring Break 2. And seeing his match with PCO. And you want to talk about a crazy story. I think Joey Janela might be one of the best bringing new talent in and rising talent up. The talent that's been past their prime, that is labeled past their prime, and giving them a brand new breath of life. Because this weekend, Walter is on NXT TakeOver New York in a high-profile match, and PCO was in Madison Square Garden for Ring of Honor in a high-profiled match. That's insane. So now we're just waiting for Marco Stunt to be part of an NXT or a Ring of Honor show, or AEW, because it's coming. But holy crap. Walter, I didn't think a match was going to top Walter and Pete Dunne. This was hard-hitting. I thought Walter may have shit himself when Pete Dunne went for the double stomp on the floor. That move scares me to death. Anytime, like Finn Balor doing the coup de grace, anytime Finn Balor does that move, I am scared whoever he does that to is going to shit their pants. I thought that happened to Walter possibly in this match, but Walter gets the win in just a brutal match. Pete Dunne's 600-plus day reign as WWE United Kingdom Champion is over. So now what? What does Pete Dunne go from here? I think he's going to go to the main roster. I think this is the time. The superstar shakeup's happening. He's one of those guys that I think is going to catch fire. I hope they don't put him on 205. I think Mustafa Ali is a perfect example of the cruiserweights can get over. That's not a problem. But 205 Live is not watched by a lot of people. And it breaks my heart because there's so much talent on that show. But I think Pete Dunne's going to be a SmackDowner. And I can't wait to see what's next from him. Because, again, he's one of those guys that's in his early mid-20s, I think, 24, 25, who you could build the entire company around. And he's legitimately a badass. He just looks like someone that could kill you. So Pete Dunne is one of those guys you have to look at for the future, hands down. The NXT Women's title, excuse me, everybody. The NXT Women's title match kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. It was the first time in the entire weekend where I thought the match was fine. I enjoyed the dichotomy between all four women. But now what? Like, what's next? Because Shayna Baszler wins. I'm pretty sure Io Shirai and Kairi Sane are getting called up. I think that's Paige's tag team she talked about on SmackDown this week. So, I mean, you've had Bianca Belair now lose twice to Shayna. So, now what? Candice LeRae? I mean, there's not many, because you're not going to have the Four Horsewomen feud with the Four Horsewomen, I don't expect. I don't see Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke going for the NXT Women's title. So, then what? Where does this go from here? And I think Candice is the next logical point. And honestly, she would have the crowd behind her because of what happened in the main event. But Shayna Baszler retains. Shayna's got to be the best heel in NXT. Outside, I mean, with Ciampa being gone. Because I wanted her to lose. I respect what she does in the ring, but I can't help but boo her. Boo Shayna Baszler, boo. But she did retain in a decent fatal four-way match. And then the main event, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls. Holy poop. I don't think I thought the match started off slow, which was really good because if you're going to go the pace they did, you have to kind of slow down the pace to keep the crowd, build up that momentum. Adam Cole takes fall 1, and which I wasn't surprised about. But when Johnny Gargano made Adam Cole tap for fall 2, I went, okay, this is interesting. Because I thought WWE might pull the trigger and just have Gargano lose the first 2 falls and just be like, hey, sorry. But that third and final fall, unbelievable. They go balls out, 100%. A main event for main events. I know Dave Meltzer gave it 5.5 stars, which is the highest rated WWE match ever. He broke the 5-star system for a WWE match. Johnny Gargano is the best wrestler in the company. I don't think there's an argument there. He's main evented, I think, 4 takeovers now. All 4 matches have been 5 stars. It's insane how good Johnny Gargano is. I want to see a rematch between him and Cole. I know there's going to be a takeover in San Jose. That's where they did their first house show. I'm 100% fine with this. Unless Adam Cole gets called up, which is something I think we're all considering, that Adam Cole gets called up. But the moment that Johnny Gargano won the NXT championship, I actually cried. And I don't know, wrestling is weird. Because you can get invested into a wrestler and be elated when they win the championship. And the perfect example of that is following Sting when he won the NWA title in 1990 at Great American Bash. That moment was so awesome because I was a huge Sting fan at that time, and seeing that moment, I was elated. I was ecstatic. This moment, though, could be right up there with that. If not, it might be the most emotional world title, the second most emotional world title win of the weekend. Because when Gargano wins, and you just see it, honest to God, the first thing that goes through my mind is Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania 12, the boyhood dream has come true. Gargano is emotionally just drained after kick out. That got a little intense. And then we move on to Candice LeRae coming out and celebrating with her husband. And you just got this amazing moment of Candice and Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano finally winning the big one, standing there at the entrance ramp. And every time that there is a wrestler standing on the entrance ramp, because of what happened in NXT TakeOver Chicago 1, I believe, when Ciampa threw Gargano into the entranceway, I get nervous. And he's standing there with the NXT championship. I'm like, someone's going to attack him. Oh, shit. It's going to be Pete Dunne, isn't it? And he's holding up the championship, and out came Tommaso Ciampa. And they have they hug. And it was the best fucking moment in NXT history. That story's not done. But that was the best moment of NXT history. And you can argue with me all day long. I don't give a shit. When Ciampa and Gargano hugged, there was I've got chills just talking about it. There was just, you could hear the crowd. You could hear the elation. You could see the emotion in Twitter posts. It was that freaking great. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are the Rock Austin of NXT. Because when you think of great feuds in NXT, you're going to think of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You're going to think Joe and Finn Balor, DIY and The Revival, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano is the top of that list. Bailey Sasha. I don't think that there's a better story in wrestling than Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. And they capped it off with a hug and a celebration that was almost fucking perfect. Other than that one stupid camera cut, they almost pulled off the most perfect wrestling moment ever. Want to point that out. NXT kicked off the weekend in such a way that I'm like, I don't think there's coming back from this. Now where do they go? The first set of tapings happened this past weekend, and I don't talk about spoilers on this show, so I'm not going to talk about it. I really don't know where they go. I assume in my mind of minds, NXT TakeOver San Jose is main evented by Gargano Cole 2. I think that's where it goes, and I think Adam Cole gets the win there. Outside that, it's going to be hard to top this. I don't know if there will be a takeover to top this show. That's how good this NXT takeover was. Then we move on to the WWE Hall of Fame on Saturday night. Yeah, let's talk about this shit. So, I'm a huge fan of the Hall of Fame, and I think that wrestling, I love listening to stories of the old generation and just being ecstatic and talking about how important it was, and just road stories are fun to listen to. But oh my god, Honky Tonk Man coming out in non-tux. Okay, so Honky Tonk Man wears this tuxedo at WrestleMania with music notes on it. I was like, that's classy. Honky Tonk Man at the Hall of Fame comes out in the Honky Tonk Man outfit, worth every freaking penny. And he sang his song, and that was awesome. I think the highlight, there's two moments to really discuss about the WWE Hall of Fame. Three moments to discuss about the Hall of Fame. Number one, the return of Stacy Keibler. I didn't see that coming. I didn't know Torrie was going to have an inductee or inductor, and I did not expect it to be. I did not expect it to be Stacy Keibler. So that was kind of awesome. We move forward to Torrie Wilson's speech, who, by the way, her dad passing away like 2 days before the Hall of Fame. Her going out there and delivering a speech in front of the fans and delivering maybe, quite frankly, one of the best Hall of Fame speeches in the history of the Hall of Fame, and how emotionally charged that was. And her line of saying, and I was part of everyone's puberty, was fan-effing-tastic. So that was kind of a fun moment. We we've got a lot to go over with the Bret Hart speech. Bret and Natalia inducting the Hart Foundation, Bret and Jim. And out comes this, through the crowd comes this douche fuck with a fucking Rasta hat and tackles a 67-year-old, 61 to 60, I don't exactly know how old Bret Hart, tackles Bret fucking Hart to the ground. After having a stroke and cancer, this son of a bitch tackles Bret Hart to the ground. And thank God, because once a fan comes through the crowd, you know the boys are going to go fucking crazy. And I think the first one in the ring was Ronda Rousey's husband, Travis Brown. Holy crap. Like this amateur MMA fighter probably almost got killed by him. And let alone, but I think the greatest thing that's come out of this, which, I mean, it could end up in a lawsuit. I really don't know what's going to happen, is Dash Wilder knocking the fuck out of this dude. You know, anybody who jumps the rails, 100% should be treated like what Dash Wilder did to that guy. That dude did not see that coming, and Dash Wilder just right hands him. And Corey Graves in commentary during WrestleMania is like the heavy hand of Dash Wilder, which made me happy inside. I ain't going to lie about it. So there's that. So we got a lot there. Also, the story goes that a WWE writer got fired or quit because Vince got upset because during the Hall of Fame speech, Bret Hart said something about Vince. If this is 100%, if Vince got that pissed about someone saying something about him, fucking shut up. Okay, so you bring these guys and gals back to the Hall of Fame. You're the guy in charge. You sign these people to deals. You work with these people. But let's just say, hey, look, we're at the Hall of Fame. I don't give a shit if you worked here, if I worked with you or not. Don't mention me. Are you fucking kidding me? Because that's what people are going to do. They're going to say thank you to you, you jackass. Stop being this Stop putting yourself behind this fucking wall. You're not the goddamn Wizard of Oz. Like, stop being a dickbag. That writer, I think just tensions flared. There seems to be a lot of tension that came from WrestleMania weekend, and part of that had to do with this. And that writer quit or got fired and is no longer with the company. We know Brian James, Road Dogg, stepped down from the head writer of SmackDown. Shit's getting real behind the scenes of WWE. How real, we don't know. But a lot going down. But I'm glad that asshole got just taken out. I assume he's never going to be allowed back at a WWE show. His one comment, it was just the perfect time. Oh, fuck off. It is never the perfect time to jump in the ring and tackle someone, you piece of shit. So there's that. I thought DX's speech was fun. There you go. That's all I got. I did enjoy the digs at AEW, and I'm rooting for AEW, but I thought coming from Triple H, I thought that was kind of funny because it wasn't coming from a headset or something. And Billy Gunn saying, "Oh, what's he gonna do? Fire? I can say whatever I want. He's not gonna fire me." And then Triple H going, "Oh, he'll buy that pissant company if you're working for, and then fire you." I thought it was funny. I enjoyed a little bit of digs like that, and then the All In joke was pretty funny too. So little things made the Hall of Fame great. I mean, Brutus's speech, it sounded like he was just humbled to be there. That was cool. The Harlem Heat speech was really good. I thought Bret coming back and still finishing the speech was amazing. I thought the Hall of Fame this year was really, really good. And I don't know. I still don't understand the hate for Torrie. It's a different time. She at least did shit. I'm still mad that Hillbilly Jim's in the Hall of Fame. Just letting you guys know. That one still gets to me. But, and then that night, ROH, New Japan, G1 Supercard of Honor. I got a problem with this show. Okay. This is not a knock on New Japan. I think New Japan's wrestling is some of the best in the world. I think Ring of Honor has some great talent still. But I'm going to say something. If Ring of Honor actually did sign who I think they signed, they are opening up a can of worms. I don't think they know what they've got. And I know at this time frame in professional wrestling, the best idea is to try to get people to talk about you. That's really hard to do, especially in the context of what they did. We'll get to there in a minute. Kenny King wins the Honor Rumble by eliminating Jushin Thunder Liger at the end. Whatever. Great Muto return during that. That was kind of cool. Let's get to the main show. Winner take all. Jeff Cobb defeats Will Ospreay to win the Never Openweight Championship. Rush defeats Dalton Castle in 15 seconds. Dalton Castle turns heel and attacks the boys. That my wife was done. Ashley was done with that show, with the show at that moment. I don't have any problem with Jeff Cobb and Will Ospreay's finish. I think Will Ospreay is destined for some pretty huge things. I don't know if they're in New Japan, though. I know the Never Openweight title is kind of one of those championships that's not had the greatest history of any of the it's kind of like the IWGP US Championship. I just feel it doesn't get its just due because I'm a little bummed out that you have this show on American soil and you don't put the IWGP US Championship match in there. You know, it kind of baffles me, but it is what it is. The Jeff Cobb Will Ospreay match was really good. I think that was one of the best matches of the night. That and Okada Jay White, which makes me sound like a dick, but I thought Jay White and Okada probably had the best match of the night. But let's look at this. Kelly Klein wins the Women of Honor Championship and then gets attacked after the match. You know, this is again one of those things. Got attacked by Mandy Leon, Angelina Love, and Velvet Sky. And they create a group that's just like the beautiful people in TNA. I don't have an issue with this because I think Ring of Honor also needs women. And I think I think Ring of Honor is in a bad spot. And I think this show proves how bad the spot actually is. Because it's even worse than I think we all thought it would be. I think Ring of Honor is caught in the middle of this situation between WWE and AEW. And we're going to talk a little bit AEW at the end of the show. And I think Ring of Honor is in the middle. Because Ring of Honor has been kind of in, and I hate to say this, but without New Japan, Ring of Honor couldn't put 5,000 people in the Garden. When tickets went on sale, the Elite were still signed to Ring of Honor, and I think fans believed that was something, and I believe fans seeing the New Japan guys is something they wanted. If you were to just give me a Ring of Honor show, just pure 100% Ring of Honor, they don't put 5,000 people in the Garden. Hell, they may not put 3. Because you had to have names. And I think the New Japan guys, being that no one, like a lot of American fans, haven't seen Kazuchika Okada or Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito, Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think guys haven't seen them, LIJ, means that there's a possibility that that was part of the reason. And I think the Elite still being part of Ring of Honor and not knowing what was happening then, because I think tickets for this went on sale before All In. It was either right before All In or right after All In. I think they went on sale in August, now that I think about it. Because, I mean, they sold out the Garden. That's fantastic. But I see why it happened. But here we are. Kelly Klein wins the Women of Honor Championships against Mayu Owatani. I always mispronounce her name. Flip Gordon and Lifeblood, Juice Robinson and Mark Haskins defeats Bully Ray, Shane Taylor, and Silas Young. This originally was supposed to be Bully Ray versus Juice Robinson because he answered the open challenge. And this match ends up being 15 minutes long. Yeah, it is. It's a match. It was nice to see Flip Gordon in the Garden. Good for him. I think he's the breakout star of Ring of Honor right now. I still don't know how I feel about Matt Taven. I like him, and then again, I don't know if he's on that plateau as everyone else, and I hope he's the guy that can lead the company, but I think we're going to see a max exodus of Ring of Honor stars, and he's one of those guys that's going to end up either in WWE or AEW and make a fucking killing. So is Dalton Castle. So is Flip Gordon. I'm just saying how I feel, and I just... But I think by the time this is over, like the biggest stars in Ring of Honor might be the Briscoes, and I hate those guys. Dragon Lee wins the IWGP Junior Championship. It was okay. I 8 minutes. I wish this match would have got more time. I wish the tag title match had got more time because I like the idea of the Fatal 4-Way. I also wish it would have just been the Guerrillas of Destiny versus the ROH tag champs, who were PCO and Brody King. But they added LIJ of Evil and Sonata, and then they added the Briscoes. And then after the match, and this is when I just went, you've got to be fucking shitting me. After the match, so we just had this moment. I think this is 20 minutes after the attack on Bret Hart. I know it's within 20 minutes to an hour of what happened at the Barclays Center to Enzo and Cash jumping the rail at Ring of Honor. Now, granted, this is a work that wasn't, but to Enzo and Cash jumping the rail at Ring of Honor and attacking the Briscoes. You got to be fucking kidding me. One, poor timing. Two, so Twitter explodes like someone just jumped the rail at Ring of Honor, and I went, you've got, like, something's in the water in New York. People are going crazy. And then knowing it's Enzo and Cass, and then finding out it's a work, and then going, why? I heard great things about Enzo during WrestleCon, and I hope he can make a second chance. Like, if you get a second chance, don't fuck it up. That's all I ask. But I can't. I can't. I just cannot get into Enzo and Cass. I love them back in the day of NXT when they were there, and right when they got called up to the main roster, they were a hoot. And then all the stories started flowing out about Enzo and Cass behind the scenes. And look, I think my problem is with Cass more than Enzo at times. Like, I think they're toxic, and unless they've changed and can be fucking decent people, I don't have high hopes for this. I really don't. So we'll find out hopefully more a little bit later on. I know we will see more going into this story. And who knows what's going to happen. The Guerrillas of Destiny win the tag titles, both tag team championships, and don't even get to really celebrate it because of the shit with Enzo and Cass. I'm really not 100% sure how I feel, but it is what it is. We move over. We keep going, and I checked out at this point. I really did. I checked out at this point. I had no idea. Enzo and Cass showing up just made me completely check out. Sorry, guys. People are kind of crazy today. Yeah, Enzo and Cash showing up just made me check out completely. And then, we get Zack Sabre Jr. next against Hiroshi Tanahashi for the British Heavyweight Championship, which, Zack Sabre Jr. won. And, of course, that was going to happen. Kota Ibushi wins the Intercontinental. The three-way ladder match, Matt Taven wins, and Kazuchika Okada defeats Jay White. I think the Ring of Honor portion of this show was so fucking bad that it killed the entire night. I think Enzo and Cass... I think what happened between Rush and Dalton Castle, why even have the match if you're only going to make it 15 seconds to turn him heel? You could have done that and just have him come out. The idea with I think it's Allure is the name of the group. Beautiful People 2 or 3.0. the Flip Gordon Bully Ray storyline was ended in December, but apparently we're still going to do that now. I don't know what's up with Ring of Honor. I think they're just in a really interesting spot as a company, and I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on after this. I don't think Ring of Honor makes it through the new war. We know Lucha Underground's gone. I think Impact's in such a position, which at their show this weekend looked like absolute dog shit. But I think Impact's in a position they'll still kind of be around. I don't know about Ring of Honor. I'm just confused. I don't understand. I mean, I would take the champ. I think Matt Taven was the right choice. But was Matt Taven the right guy? That becomes the argument. Is there another guy in Ring of Honor that could have been ROH champion? And the answer is probably no. I'm baffled that Kenny King won the Honor Rumble. He gets a shot at our ROH championship at any time. Jonathan Gresham not being on this show is kind of a travesty. But now what? Because I don't know if there's a guy. Like, I always see the Ring of Honor champion as a guy who's almost like next level. Like, it's always been that way for me. Like Daniels deserved it. And just those names that have held the Ring of Honor World Championship just seem to be superhuman. And I like Matt Taven. We know Marty's leaving. I don't know when Marty's contract's up, but we know Marty's leaving. And with Marty leaving, they're not going to put the championship on him. If they were going to put the ROH championship on Marty, they would have put it on Marty last year at Supercard of Honor. They didn't. All right. That didn't happen. I'm tired of Jay Lethal as champ, so then what? So Matt Taven was the right decision. I think all in all, this show, if it was just a New Japan show, this would have been one of the best shows of the entire weekend. And a lot of people enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I just thought it was another Ring of Honor show with some good New Japan matches. And again, can the New Japan... I don't think New Japan's working with Ring of Honor by this time next year. I think they're working with AEW. I think by this time next year, Ring of Honor is fucked. And I don't know, because a lot of guys' contracts are up next year. I think it's going to be... I think we're going to see a lot of exodus to AEW and WWE between now and the end of next year, where who knows what the landscape of Ring of Honor is going to look like. Only time will tell. I want to know where Impact ends up in this. I think they've got enough names, but again, they're starting to lose people. Having a major company is great. Having two major companies is great. There always needs to be I feel like there needs to be an ECW to the two big companies, but with AEW coming up, you've got to have a full roster, especially if the TV deal's real and of where they're supposed to land. So there's that. Then Joey Janela's Spring Break might have been the most fun show of the weekend, second most fun show of the weekend. I'll tell you what the first one is in a minute. The Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan match. If you've not seen it, go out of your way to watch that. And Clusterfuck 2, the greatest clusterfuck ever, was the best fucking ending you could have given me as a wrestling fan that was making fun of the Saudi Arabian shows. God bless you, Joey Janela. You are a king. Because there was no women in it. And at the end of it, all the women came out and just destroyed it Nexus style. And it was flippin-tastic. Joey Janela has made me a huge fan of him. I hope. He's just a guy that is going to be huge in wrestling. And I don't know to what extent. Because I don't think we've seen anyone like him. So Joey Janela did a great thing. Then the Orange Cassidy show. Go out of your way to watch that. Fuck, I'm halfway through that show right now because we had to stop watching it because of life. But I'm halfway through that show, and MJF stealing dodgeballs and leaving is the greatest thing you'll ever see. Holy crap, that's funny. And kudos to Game Changer. You know, in this landscape of pro wrestling, that's ultimately, we're all looking at a different landscape by the end of the year. I think Game Changer is going to fill in that Ring of Honor spot. I think GCW is going to be the number 3 company in the U.S. by the end of the year. And I know, because I can tell you now, if Joey Janela's Spring Break was in an arena with 10,000 seats, they would put butts in there. It may not sell out 10,000, but it'd be damn close. That's how big the Joey Janela shows are. I think Game Changer's got something special, and I think they're going to be cooking on all cylinders for the next couple of years, especially with what they do during WrestleMania weekend. This year, superb. So anything GCW did, Bloodsport was fantastic. The 2 Joey Janela shows, Orange Cassidy is doing something, you know. Those 4 shows alone are worth it. And I think $15 for the 2 spring breaks, and $10, and I think Bloodsport's $15. You could have got the collective for $100. It would have been completely worth it. The other show I want to talk about is Joey Ryan's Penis Party. I don't have words for this, and I get if you don't enjoy Joey Ryan. I'm one of those people who love me some fucking Joey Ryan. And the fact he did a photo shoot at WrestleCon where people could touch his dick, which is now kayfabed, it made me really weirded out. Like, just to know Joey Ryan's dick is kayfabe, it just fucking cracks me up. Is probably the look, and I get it. You're gonna have your wrestling purists. It's like that kills the business and all that shit. I'm gonna be my argument. I have watched wrestling my entire life. I have watched the territory days, to the end of the territory days, to now. WCW had a wrestling yeti. The Dungeon of Doom. Evad Sullivan. In Memphis, Jerry Lawler wrestled Swamp Thing. And the creature from the Black Lagoon. And I think Frankenstein. Don't tell me that is what's killing wrestling. Are you fucking serious? Because there is so much stupidity sometimes that it just baffles me. Look, wrestling doesn't have to be the MMA shoot style matches. Wrestling can be whatever you want it to be, and it will be fun as long as you suspend belief for an hour and a half to 3 hours, and like 100 hours if you're depending on WrestleMania. If you can just suspend belief for just a little bit of your life, because you do it an hour a week anyway, because when you watch Game of Thrones. So just saying. Suspension of belief is wonderful when it comes to pro wrestling, because you get shows like Joey Ryan's Penis Party, which is the complete opposite of the serious, emotional storylines, and it was so much fun to watch. It was a break among the monotony, and fantastic. Like all those shows that I mentioned, all the GCW shows were so different from each other that you need to go out of your way to see them. And the Joey Ryan Penis Party is so different from everything else presented. You've got to go out of your way to see them. So that's my take on that. Then WrestleMania the next day. My God, man. I think I want to talk about something that a lot of people bitch about, and that is the runtime for WrestleMania. So WrestleMania 35, if you count the pre-show, ran over 7 hours. Okay. Let's discuss this. My first Wrestle Kingdom show was Wrestle Kingdom 11. And Wrestle Kingdom 11, if you count watching the Honor Rumble at 1. So for me, it starts at 1 in the morning. And it would go... Okay, so it started at 1 in the morning with the Honor Rumble. And then after the Honor Rumble, it goes... they do a little bit of talking, then it goes into the main show. That show did not end until 7:50. That is the same amount of time as Wrestle fucking Mania. And no one gave a fucking shit. No one complained. Like, oh, hey, that was long, but it's okay. I think, And when I say this, it comes across as very douche-tastic, especially with what I just said. I think there's too much wrestling for people to take in WrestleMania weekend. Because if you were to take in everything, you're looking at almost 12 hours a day of wrestling before WrestleMania. Like you have NXT, you have Access, which did the Worlds Collide shows. You've got the Hall of Fame, no wrestling, but still talking about it. Then you have Joey Janela's Spring Breaks. You have A Matter of Pride doing Diva Mania. You've got the Orange Cassidy show. You've got Bloodsport. You've got Impact. You've got Chikara. You've got all of these shows going on. And each show ran 3 hours. So take that into consideration. That if you're at WrestleMania weekend and you're doing almost everything, you're looking at shows that are 3 hours long constantly all weekend long. By the time you get to WrestleMania, you're fucking wore out. Like, you have to be on your last legs when you go to WrestleMania. And the fact that it's 7 hours long would pretty much appeal to that because you're dying inside. By the time you get to that main event of WrestleMania, if you've done wrestling all weekend long, you are sick of wrestling. Like, you've got to recuperate before you go to Raw if you got tickets. I think WWE cutting on independents, running Tampa next year might be a good thing because of how long their shows are. I don't want that to happen because I think there's been like so many years where new stars have come out of WrestleMania weekend. I think this year was Alley Cat, Marco, the dude with no legs, the Joey Janela show. And to say that is unbelievable to think about too, because there's all of these superstars who are watching WrestleMania 2 who've just wrestled. Who was it? I think it might have been Joey Janela. No. Someone posted that they had wrestled like 8 to 9 matches in the span of 3 days. And putting that into context, that's a lot of wrestling for any fan to go through or to go to. So I think that's the reason why WrestleMania feels like it takes forever. It is what it is. I thought the set was kind of lackluster, but I did think it was cool later on in the night, and I'll tell why a little bit later. Pat McAfee is a legend for his shorts, who almost apparently quit because of those shorts. Go, Pat. The Women's Battle Royal, meh. I thought Sarah Logan was going to win, and I got really super excited, but Carmella wins. Oh, well. Carmella wins the Fallopian Tube Cup. I do agree with what X-Pac said, though. That Battle Royal should be named after China. Hands down. Moving on, the Raw Tag Team titles changed as Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins defeated the Revival in a really cool moment for Hawkins to get the pin and end his losing streak. I thought this WrestleMania was full of moment. After the Women's Battle Royal, which it makes me sad to hate on the Women's Battle Royal. But it was shit. To me, that was the worst moment of the night. And I wanted it to be better. I thought Sarah Logan won, then I would have freaked out. But Carmella winning, okay. So after that, I think every match had somewhat of a moment. If you don't believe me, let's discuss this. We move on to the Raw Tag Team titles, and we see that the Tag Team titles changed hands. Awesome. We have new Tag Team champions. We have a new Cruiserweight champion. Tony Nese defeated Buddy Murphy in a really good match. And again, a moment. Braun Strowman winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. No big surprise, but I thought the guys from SNL did fucking great in this. They hide under the ring like traditional chicken shit heels. They try to throw him over. Michael Che gets flung. Colin Jost gets flung onto other guys. Like, I thought that was great. I didn't hate the SNL guys on it. In the Battle Royal, I thought it was fun. Seth Rollins wins the Universal Championship. Before we get to that, they had this, the version of America the Beautiful was fantastic, and I agree with Vince that the America the Beautiful is the song America the Beautiful is so much better than the Star Spangled Banner. But Alexa comes out and goes, I can get a WrestleMania moment when I snap my fingers, and then out comes Hulk freaking Hogan. And Big E tweets that something like Hogan heard his explanation and and apologized, and I thought that's really awesome. Hogan trying to make amends with the new generation of superstars makes me a little bit happier inside, and knowing that made me a little bit happier to see Hulk Hogan, because Big E's a fucking national treasure, and if you don't believe me, watch Raw and SmackDown. So Hogan comes out, Alexa's doing poses with Hogan, and as the two are heading to the back, here comes Paul Heyman, just cutting them off, and we get another WrestleMania moment after Hogan, where Heyman says, if we can't go on last, we're starting the show so we can get the hell out of here. I think that was probably real. And out comes Brock Lesnar, and then out comes Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins gets tossed around, beaten, and then Seth Rollins hits 2 curb stomps and wins the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar losing the title at WrestleMania fucking finally was a great moment. AJ Styles, Randy Orton, apparently other than the fans couldn't see the match because of the blinding light. I thought I had a really good match too. It was a little bit more slow paced than I would hope, but it is Randy Orton, who's never been a fast worker. But those two, I thought had a really great match. AJ wins in 16 minutes. The Usos win the actually defended their tag title successfully against Aleister Black, Ricochet, Rusev, and Nakamura in the Bar in 10 minutes, 10 seconds, in a really good tag match. Like, I don't feel any match was terrible. Next, we get Shane McMahon and The Miz. One, you got Miz's dad doing his best I'm a bar fighter pose. Fucking hysterical. And then we've got The Miz suplexing Shane McMahon off of first of all, that bump that Shane takes off the golf cart to hit the concrete. Shane, you're fucking stupid. And then the suplex off the camera thing, off the camera truss. Fantastic. Perfect. I thought it was a great ending with Shane winning. And that was a really cool moment they actually had a hardcore match in a stadium that I think the last time a hardcore match went out in the crowd was Undertaker Triple H at 17. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But it was really cool to see The Miz and Shane McMahon fighting in the stadium among the fans, and I thought that was a really cool moment. Then next we get the women's tag team titles. The Boston Hug Connection lose the women's tag titles to the Iconics, along with Nia Jax, who now who tore both of her ACLs and is out for a while. Tamina, Beth Phoenix, and Natalya. The Iconics winning the women's tag team championships and the emotion, the elation, the happiness that those two had was great. Dare I say iconic, because it was a moment. I know there's the story, and let's talk about that right now. I know there's the story of Sasha Banks pitching a fit backstage about losing. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to believe it. I do want to believe it. There's parts of it that seem fabricated. There's parts of it that seem truthful. I don't really know. Apparently, she got heated over them losing the tag team champion. They're going to be losing the tag team championships. She threw a fit. Other women tried to calm her down. She ended up popping Dana Brooke in the mouth. She laid on the floor and whined, apparently. Then she posted Twitter. Then they posted Twitter on Instagram with the Iconics after they won the tag titles. I know a lot of people are not happy about this. I thought the Iconics was the perfect choice here, because I think Sasha and Bayley need to be in the women's title picture and not the tag title picture. And I know with Becky holding both Becky 2 belts, I don't know if they're going to treat it like it's a unified championship or if they're going to treat it as if one brand, one champion. So until that's really decided, I think Sasha and Bayley need to be in the women's title picture and not in the tag titles. The Iconics holding them, fantastic. I feel like their next opponent are Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. That's going to be awesome. We're going to get some fun moments coming up. But the Iconics, the emotion they showed, you can't get anything. You just can't get better than that. Like I told you, all weekend long, WWE's given us some moments of emotion. And then the biggest one happens. Look, Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan, and I said this on our last show. There's two ways you could go about setting up this WrestleMania. You could do it as 3 different shows and have part 1 with the main event of Seth Rollins, Brock, part 2, Kofi and Daniel, and part 3, the 3-way women's. Or you could start the show off with Kofi and Daniel, or Seth and Brock, and then at middle of the show do the next one. Or you could do all 3 at the end. They started off with Seth and Brock. Here's the middle of the show. It is Kofi versus Daniel Bryan in the best match of the night, hands down. 23 minutes, 45 seconds. The second longest match of WrestleMania. And it was so damn good. And the ending, when Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise, you can see the swell of fans starting just to stand. You knew it was a moment in history. Kofi Kingston wins. They throw the wooden championship, which was great. And they already had the nameplates on the WWE Championship. You knew this was going to be a special moment. Kofi celebrating. His kids are in the ring. They have the New Day shirts. There's a new champ. Yes, there is. And it's just freaking amazing to see. And there's videos of MVP and Shad Gaspard watching. Booker T talks about it. Taz talks about it. This is a moment for WWE that, and I think CM Punk was right, that should have happened 10 years ago. But this is such a wonderful moment now in New York on the biggest stage of so WrestleMania is the biggest stage of wrestling, but it's even I feel like that scale is even bigger when the show's in New York, in the New York area. So you've got that, you just have this awesome moment happen. And I couldn't have been happier. So happy to see Kofi Kingston win the WWE Championship. And I think we're going to get a really cool run from Kofi. I think Kofi being champion, I want to see Kofi Mustafa. I want to see who they're bringing over in the Superstar Shakeup to SmackDown. I want to see new matches. I hope like hell Finn may switch over. We could get Kofi versus Finn. Because Kofi's one of those guys who no matter what's going out and having a good match every night he does. So I'm super stoked for that. Next up, Samoa Joe defeats Rey Mysterio in a minute. Roman Reigns defeats Drew McIntyre. Really nothing to write home about. Triple H, Batista. Triple H's entrance, fantastic. Should have went with Lost in New York, though. Batista's entrance, fantastic. The spot where Triple H pulls the nose ring was really disgusting. Really good match. Batista retires the next day after Triple H wins, and that was his last match. 24 minutes, 45 seconds. I thought it was fun. Baron Corbin defeats Kurt Angle in Kurt Angle's farewell match. You knew it was coming. If it's a farewell match, most of the time the wrestler's going to be looking up at the lights. I know a lot of people were sad that it wasn't John Cena or The Undertaker, but it is what it is. John Cena, by the way, coming out as the Doctor of Thugonomics on Elias. Did not see that coming, but I popped hard on my couch for that. That was great. Ashley had never seen that before, and Ashley doesn't know that side of John Cena, and he comes out just rapping, and she's like, "What the hell is this?" And I said, "It's the John Cena we all know and love." So that was pretty good. The Demon defeats Bobby Lashley in 4 minutes and 5 seconds, and then the women's title match. Of course, Becky Lynch wins. Kind of controversial. I love Charlotte's entrance with the helicopter tying in back to her dad. It's a Great American Bash 1985. I thought that was fantastic. I thought Ronda Rousey coming out to Joan Jett playing her to the ring. Like, you could see the little kid in Ronda Rousey for half a second because she comes out and she looks over and she sees Joan Jett playing Bad Reputation, and you just see this giant smile on Ronda's face, and she knows as soon as she has to switch that off. So she just automatically clicks going, "Oh crap, I need to be serious again." And it was a really funny moment to see live. You couldn't have seen it in the stadium, but if you were watching at home and you caught it, she has such a huge smile when she walks out of the WrestleMania entrance. It's great. And then Becky Lynch comes out. I thought this match was fine. It wasn't the match of the night. It was special, though, because it's the first time the women main evented for WrestleMania. I think Ronda screwed up a little, but it happens. She's still technically a rookie. You have to look at it that way. Becky Lynch wins. I guess Becky Lynch is now going to be feuding with Lacey Evans. Oh, yay. Ronda broke her hand. I don't know what Charlotte's doing. Charlotte's taking some time off. Let's talk. WrestleMania is a solid B. I didn't think it was a bad WrestleMania. I thought it was better than last year. I had a lot more fun this one than I did. I thought this was better than 30. I think this is the best WrestleMania since 31. All in all, top to bottom, such a great show. And so many good moments that even the matches might have been, at best. The moments outweighed the matches and made this WrestleMania something to go back and watch later on. So, there's that. News. AEW might be signing with Turner. This one baffles me to a point. Like, I think we all saw it coming. In this day and age, though, is national television the best spot for pro wrestling, or is a streaming service the best spot? I don't think wrestling could sustain living on a Netflix platform. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think that wrestling being once a week and Netflix doing the release of, like, here's 20 episodes of a show at once, I think that hurts wrestling, because then you couldn't I just don't think it would work. Unless you did the weekly show, which Netflix does occasionally, but those shows don't last long. Anytime Netflix has done a week-to-week show, those shows may last 2 seasons at best. Now, wrestling would be different. I think fans would tune in. But Turner Networks, the best possible home for AEW there could be, and it ties into the history of the Rhodes family. I'm 100% behind this. I thought for half a minute it was going to be the CW network, which would not have surprised me. So we will talk about that in probably the next coming weeks. Outside the Sasha situation, the Ryder deal, a lot of wrestling happened this week. And a lot more is coming, and I think there's so much news to talk about. I'm super excited about what's happening. I know the Superstar shakeup is this week, and I'm pumped for that, because you don't know who's going to end up where. I don't think we're going to get anything magical, but we're probably going to get something fun. I don't know at this point. I feel there's so much else. NWA announced the teams for the Crockett Cup. Please, for the love of God, don't put Enzo and Cass in that. Guys, that's this week's SNS. I think there's just so much to talk about. There was so much happening over WrestleMania weekend that it almost becomes too much to discuss at times. And that's just wrestling. So we got a lot to, we went over a lot in this episode. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I know that it's kind of all over the place, and we did talk about everything as much as we could. Next week, WrestleMania 2, we'll talk about some more news. It's a watch along, so prepare to sit down and watch one of the worst WrestleManias ever with someone who's never actually watched that WrestleMania, so that should be fun. Hillbilly Jim's part of that WrestleMania too. Will I make fun of him? You damn right. So until next week, guys, my name is Richard. We're going to wrap up this show like we do every show. If you're going to turn heel on your friends, make sure they're as gullible as Sting. Good night, everybody.